super tired, like obviously the thing they're going to go towards is a quick energy source, which is generally carbs. But the reason why we're normally at nighttime drawn towards fats and carbs is because we want the tryptophan from, like, say, almonds, nut butter, all that kind of stuff, turkey. But we want the insulin response to be able to facilitate that tryptophan to melatonin or serotonin, like crossing our blood-brain barrier. So this is like why people sometimes do want, say you can give them basmati and almond butter or something like that at night before bed. They'll probably actually sleep really well because they've got the tryptophan, they've got the insulin to help support crossing the blood-brain barrier and facilitating or inducing sleep. It's normally a sign, like I know for myself that I only really get cravings when I'm super fatigued. So if I'm someone who normally has blood sugar balance, then like if I'm super fatigued in a way that, like, it could be that I'm getting enough sleep, but I didn't realize I smashed myself this week in training, or I had too many extrovert things and I'm just needing that replenishment. That's kind of where you can like crave it a lot more. But another thing is, so lack of sleep also drives up our hunger hormone ghrelin and decreases leptin. The same can be said for less than 7,200 steps per day. So if you do have a lot of office workers and they are doing that low level of sleep, they have found like that people tend to overeat and ghrelin serum levels seem to be a lot higher and leptin a lot lower. So it's like, it's kind of like condensing it all together is they've got a lower metabolic rate, they've got like increased muscle protein breakdown, they've got like harder, like it also inhibits like glucose upkeep, so it's harder to store glycogen, and obviously if you don't have glycogen in your muscles, it's going to be a lot harder to progress or progressively overload your muscle, and obviously then harder to get micronutrients to your muscle tissues to recover to build muscle essentially, and then sleep is impaired, and like it's kind of all just a massive fuck around of like snowball effect. But that's why like your first protocol would be like sleep and lifestyle based before anything else. Like I personally think that I have to get my clients to earn the right to train, because everyone wants to train and like they didn't come to you because they didn't want to train. So sometimes some tough love of being like, you only get to train with me once you've done this sleep protocol, once you've done this. I guarantee you if like the reward is something that they want to do, they'll be more likely to do it. But sometimes it's hard to know what adequate sleep would feel like and adequate rest would feel like if you're always constantly running on, say, even 6 hours sleep constantly. It takes at least 3 consecutive nights of 8 hours sleep. So it's not even like, you know, when people have like, say, Saturday or Sunday, they wake up and they're like, oh fuck, I slept like 9 or 10 hours. I feel really fatigued still.
They're just catching up, right?
It catching up, but also like your body needs at least 3 consecutive nights. So unless someone is sleeping in Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they're never going to get that. Most of the time people are like, oh, I'm going to go for drinks Friday with the guys or whatever, or out Saturday, and say they get Sunday only as their sleep in. They're never fully replenished. It's that 3 consecutive night, which kind of is like the focus point, I guess. Women generally have more alpha receptors or stubborn body fat receptor sites in their legs. However, what they've found is there is a correlation between high testosterone in women, like say someone with PCOS, and increased abdominal fat. So they're the type that are slightly more androgenic, and they will carry through their abdomen versus through their legs. So it depends on body type, alpha receptors, but also they found that higher cortisol, so your stomach fat and like say your back pelvis and all that kind of stuff, like core body fat is normally associated with cortisol and blood sugar management or insulin. Whereas your external arms and limbs and legs are more growth hormone, testosterone, and estrogen. So your hormone balance can influence your alpha and beta receptors, which are how easy it is to get stubborn body fat from those sites. But also generally if it is an insulin blood sugar management issue, because there's no particular say calorie excess, but your body is breaking down tissue, and insulin or that high amount of blood glucose becomes toxic, the only way your body can kind of deal with that is creating visceral fat, which sits around your organs, which essentially is in your organ area around your stomach. So sometimes it's not even that you're like, because they'll be like, oh, I'm losing weight, but you can see it sitting in their stomach, like their skin folds are going up, but their like weight is going down. They're probably losing muscle tissue, if anything, and that's just sitting as visceral fat. But the men, there is studies to suggest it. So the circumference of a male waist even though, so in women, high testosterone is bigger in their stomach, more body fat through their stomach. In men, higher or better levels of testosterone are indicated with a narrower waist. So generally, if someone has excess body fat through their stomach, if they're male, they have a lower testosterone level.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. I didn't know that.